So I say, let's start reviewing for the midterm and the final. There are two last homeworks that we need to take a look at, right? Actually, let me ask you, have we reviewed the perfect competition together in class? Yes or no? I think we did, right? Very good. So let's try the monopoly. Right? That's the last thing we need to cover. All right, guys. So, first of all, we're supposed to fill in the table with a cost structure. Is that correct? May I take a look? Yeah, that monopoly problem. Thank you very much. Yes, that's the one. Okay. So, cost curves, and we're supposed to figure out those costs, right? Is it okay if I hold on to it for a second? Thank you very much. So here's the deal. I'm gonna redo on the board, just so you see how it works. I'm gonna redo last few lines of that table. I'm not gonna do it from quantity 0 to quantity 10. I'm gonna do it, let's say, from quantity 6 to quantity 10, okay? So we have quantity, oops, sorry. And we have, let's say, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now we know that the variable cost corresponding to each quantity is 1050, 1200, 1400, 2000, 2700, and 4,000. Now this is something we've done before, this is something you guys have done, so you don't have to rewrite this. I just want us to review how those numbers work and what we can do with them. So first of all, that's the variable cost. We know that the fixed cost is defined to be 3780, which is true for all quantities, right? Because it's fixed. And then we're supposed to find total cost, average variable cost, average fixed cost, average total cost, and marginal cost, right? Thank you very much. So first of all, how do you find total cost? What is total cost, guys? What is total cost? Yeah?
Just add those together.
It's just variable plus fixed together. Very good. So can you please dictate those numbers to me so it goes faster? Starting with quantity 5, total cost.
4830.
4830,
4980.
980,
5180.
5180,
5780.
5780,
6480.
6480,
7780.
7780. Very good. Make sense? You add fixed and variable cost together to find the total cost. Now, what is average variable cost, average fixed cost, average total cost? It's really just cost per unit, right? Cost per machine. If you're making 5 machines, then average variable cost is variable cost per machine. That means variable cost divided by Q, right? Fixed cost is, average fixed cost is fixed cost divided by Q. Average total cost is total cost divided by Q. That makes sense? It's just variable cost divided by Q, fixed cost divided by Q, total cost divided by Q. Okay? Now, from all of these, let's just derive or calculate average total cost. So, how much is 4830 divided by 5? Average total cost.
966.
How much, please?
966.
966. Very good. For quantity 6?
830.
830. For quantity 7?
740.
740. Okay.
722.5.
22.5.
720.
720.
778.
778. Very good. All right. And finally, so that's clear, right? You take total cost divided by quantity. Finally, how do you find marginal cost? What is marginal cost? Intuitively, guys. We know what average cost is. It's per machine cost, right? On average, how much a machine costs to produce. What is marginal cost? That's correct. That's how you mathematically get it. But what does the number tell you?
Cost of an additional unit.
Exactly. Cost of additional unit, right? In other words, how much does it cost to produce an additional unit? So look, if you're producing 5 units, total cost is 4830, right? If you're producing 6 units, total cost is 4980. Does producing 6 units cost more than producing 5 units? Absolutely. How much more?
Subtract 4830 minus
Okay.
4980.
4980 minus 4830. What do you get?
150.
150, right? That's the marginal cost of producing the 6th machine. That makes sense? In other words, how much your total cost increases. So marginal cost of producing 6th machine is 150. What's the marginal cost of producing 7th machine?
5180 minus 4980.
Yes. How much is that?
200.
200. What's the marginal cost of producing the 8th machine?
600.
600. 9th machine?
700.
700. And the 10th machine?
1300.
1300. Very good. So that's what marginal cost means. Okay? How are you guys? So marginal cost tells you the cost of producing additional machine. How much your total cost increases when you increase production by 1 machine. All right. Now, you were supposed to graph all of that. When you put all of that in graph, you put it in Excel if you want to, or you simply use a graphing paper. What do you get? Well, you find that fixed cost is fixed, right? You find that variable cost looks something like this, correct? And you find out that the total cost is variable plus fixed cost, so it looks something like this. And it starts at fixed cost, right? That's all there is to it. Once you crunch those numbers, you'll see a pattern looking something like this. Now, when you graph, how are you? When you graph averages and marginals, you find that marginal cost looks something like this, right? It's a U-shaped function. Average total cost looks something like this. And average variable cost looks something like that. In other words, U-shaped functions, a bunch of U-shaped functions. So if you put that in graph, as the homework tells you, you're going to get something looking like this. Okay? In other words, you're going to get curves just like the ones we used in class. You've seen. So that's all there is to it. Now, what are we supposed to do next? What does the homework ask us to do? Frankly, guys, I mean, just plug those numbers in the graph and see for yourself.
Then you find the profit maximizing quantity.
Profit maximizing quantity, yes. The monopoly would produce, right? Monopoly profit maximizing quantity, yes. So that's the first thing we're supposed to do, right?
Yes.
Very good. And then we're supposed to find
The price.
the price, and then we're supposed to find the profit.
And then show the monopoly produces inefficiently.
Very good, very good. So, we're supposed to find how much the monopoly produces in order to maximize the profit. Is that still within the purview of the camera? Well within, right? Good. So, what is the monopoly profit maximization condition? Remember? Marginal revenue equals
Price.
marginal cost, right? What you are mentioning. Let me erase this. What you are mentioning, what kind of comes back to your mind, back to your mind, is the price equals marginal cost profit maximization condition, right?
Q star thing.
That was the Q star thing, right? What's the difference between this and that? This is profit maximization condition under perfect competition. Okay, so that was homework number 3, right, for you guys. So, that's profit maximization condition under perfect competition. This is more general profit maximization condition, and it applies, for example, to monopoly. Now, why is that there the difference? Do you remember why this MR becomes P in here? What is it about perfect competition that makes that or transforms that into this?
Monopolies can set their own price.
Exactly. Whereas perfectly competitive firm,
Have to compete against other.
exactly. A perfectly competitive firm has no control over price, right? So if you're selling a $10 one-topping pizza, or if you're selling one-topping large pizza for $10 in a competitive market, you will sell every pizza at that price, correct? Because you have no control over that price. That price is given by the market. You have no market power. Well, if you sell every pizza at $10, what is your marginal revenue you generate from selling one more pizza? $10. Exactly. That price at which you're selling is your marginal revenue, right? Your marginal revenue does not change with the quantity you sell. Why? Because you have no market power. Is that true about the monopoly? Oh no. Monopoly has a market power, and that's why its marginal revenue depends on the quantity, right? So basically, it's the same idea of profit maximization. It just looks different for perfectly competitive firm because it is devoid of any market power. Very good. So this is in general the rule. Okay. Now, how do we apply Well, first of all, we have to find marginal revenue, right? How do we find marginal revenue? Let me move this so we have a little bit more room here. Well, marginal revenue, as we mentioned, is the revenue from selling one more unit, right? Additional revenue you can generate by selling one more unit. So we have to find total revenue so that we can find marginal revenue. How do you find total revenue? If you're selling 50 machines for $1,000 each, what's your total revenue? P times Q, exactly, right? Price times quantity. So we know total revenue is price times quantity. Look, we have quantity. Can we find the price at which the monopoly sells those machines? Okay, guys. The monopolist, let me erase this so it doesn't confuse you, because this is perfect competition. Now we're talking, yes?
You just plug it into the demand.
Exactly, because the monopoly is serving a demand, a market where the demand is given by?
It's P equals 2050 minus 75Q.
Very good. See, this is the demand curve. Now, what would be the market price if the monopolist produced 5 units? Well, it would be 2050 minus 75 times 5. How much would that be? Anyone with calculator, quick
1600.
figures? How much?
1600.
Would it?
450 minus 2050.
In other words, 2050 minus 75 times 5. Calculator, anyone guys?
1,675.
Say it very loud, please.
1675.
1675. Thank you very much. Now, 2050 minus 75 times 6, please. 1600, 7, 1525, 8, 1450, 9, 1375, 10, 1300. Is that correct? Very good. So that's your price, okay? That's the price at which you would sell that number of machines, given by the market demand curve. Now, how do you find total revenue? Total revenue is price times quantity. So can you please multiply 1675 times 5?
8375.
8375. Thank you. 1600 times 6.
9600.
9600. Thank you. 1525 times 7. 675. 1450 times 8.
11600.
11600, right? 1375 times 9.
12375.
375. And finally, 13,000, right?
Yeah.
Very good. So we have total revenue. Now, can you find marginal revenue? Remember, we're trying to use the profit maximization condition where marginal revenue equals marginal cost. So, do we now have enough information to find marginal revenue? Well, marginal revenue is increase in total revenue when you produce one more unit, right? So how much does your marginal revenue increase when you produce sixth unit? It increases from 83.75 up to 9,600. How much is it? 12.25. Thank you. What's the marginal revenue of the seventh unit? 75. What's the marginal revenue of the eighth unit? I think it's 9.25, right? Very good. What's the marginal revenue of producing the ninth unit?
12.25.
From 11.60 up to 12.35.
775.
7.75. Thank you very much. And finally, from 375 to 13,000, 625. Correct? Very good, guys. Everybody knows where these numbers come from?
From total revenue.
Exactly. Marginal revenue are the increments in total revenue resulting from increase in production by additional units. That make sense? Very good. How are you doing, guys? So, that's where these numbers come from. Now, profit maximization condition tells us keep increasing production until marginal cost of producing additional machine bumps against the marginal revenue you can squeeze out of sale of that machine, right? That's the idea hidden in that equation. So let's take a look at 6 machines, or sixth machine. The marginal cost of producing the sixth machine is $150. So you can increase production from 5 to 6, produce the sixth machine at additional cost of $150. What happens to your revenue when you increase production from 5 to 6? Your revenue increases by $12.25. Does it make sense to produce something at the cost of $150 when you can gain $12.25 additional revenue from it? Is it a good business?
Yeah.
If your cost goes up by $150, but your revenue actually goes up by $12.25, it's awesome. So we should definitely produce the sixth machine, right? Should we produce the seventh machine? Well, the seventh machine costs us $200 in additional cost, but it brings additional $10.75 to our revenue. Is that a good business decision to produce the seventh machine?
No.
Absolutely. How about the eighth machine?
No. Yeah.
Well, eighth machine costs $600 to produce, and your revenue goes up by $925. Is that a good decision?
Yeah.
Absolutely. The ninth machine, you produce at additional cost of $700, and your revenue increases by $775. Are you gonna do it?
Yes.
No,
Why not?
I don't know. I'm sticking to the bigger profit margins. Why wouldn't you just produce 6? Keep your quantity low, the demand high, sell them for, I mean, I don't know what market this is, but I don't know. From the corporation standpoint, I'm saying at least.
That's precisely the point, from corporation point. What is that corporation trying to do?
Maximize profit.
There you go. Maximize the profit. So the point is, if you produce that eighth machine, we're talking about the eighth machine, right? Or ninth machine now, right? If you produce that ninth machine at additional cost of $700, and it brings $775 to your revenue, it brings additional $75 in profit. That's the whole idea. Of course it increases your profit. Every machine you produce increases your profit. That's the point. The question is it worth that extra cost? So what am I saying? I think I need summer break. Did I just say every machine you produce increases profit?
Yes.
That's precisely what I didn't mean to say, right? What I meant to say is every machine, every additional machine you produce increases cost, right? In other words, you can't produce machines costlessly. Every machine increases your cost. So you're right in the sense that, yeah, each additional machine, including the ninth machine, increases the cost of production. Total cost, right? So the question is that additional machine worth the trouble? When would that extra machine, production of that extra machine, be worth your trouble? For example, if it increases your profit, right? If it's profitable. And these numbers tell us that even the ninth machine that increases your profit, increases your cost by $700 is worth the trouble because it increases your revenue by $775, even more, right? In other words, it brings extra $75 of profit. So even that ninth machine is profitable to produce. That makes sense? Perhaps what you're saying is that after a long day in the office, making millions, it's really not worth for you to stay there one more hour for $75.
Well, no, I mean,
Right.
if you produce the ninth machine, you're getting $75 of profit. I mean, if you look at your 6 machines, that's where you're gaining maximum profit. And you're
Really?
Isn't it 150?
Remember guys what your colleague just postulated. Your colleague postulated you're maximizing your profit producing 6 machines, right?
Profit per machine, not profit total. Of course, you're going to make more money selling 9 at such price, probably.
Well, that's the thing. You're trying to maximize profit, not profit per machine. That's the thing, okay?
It would just be, okay.
Look,
It doesn't matter if it's efficient, money's money, I got you.
yeah, exactly. So companies are very profitable, right? There are companies that make huge amounts of money. Many of them, of course, make very little profit per unit because they're producing like car companies, right? Some car companies are very profitable, but they're making millions of cars or whatever, hundreds of thousands, possibly millions of cars, right? What's the profit on each car? Tiny, right? But you multiply it by the numbers and you get billions of dollars in profit. In other words, if you wanted to maximize profit per car, would you ever get into a compact car business? How profitable is it to make compact cars like Kia something, right? Or Honda Civic? Those are not hugely profitable. You don't have a huge, like you mentioned, profit margin on it, right? But if you make them by millions, then yeah, you make a lot of profit, right? If you wanted to make maximum profit per unit, what would you produce? I don't know, some super special Ferrari, right? All decked out, you make 3 of them, sell each of them for $1 million and make your money. But that's not what we are assuming. We are assuming that the firm is maximizing profit on all the units, not just per machine. Make sense? Very good. Now, let's see, okay, so first of all, our condition, let's just continue and so that you can see how this actually all fits together. So, our profit maximization condition tells us that the monopoly should produce quantity 9, correct? 9, because the 9th machine is still worth producing. Now, what's going to be the monopoly price at the quantity 9? Well, monopoly price at quantity 9 is $13.75. What is the monopoly profit at quantity 9? Well, it's total revenue, $12,375, minus total cost. What is the total cost? $64.80. And that gives you maximum profit of how much? How much is this, guys? 5,895.
Five, eight, nine, five.
How much?
5895.
895, very good. So, this is the solution, guys, okay? That's the solution. Now, is there a simpler way? Do you really have to go through this mental gymnastics, basically struggling, gee, what is it the firm is trying to do, and so on and so forth? Isn't there a simpler way? Well, of course there is. You can simply, mindlessly crunch one more column of numbers. What would that column be? What would it be? The profit, right? Look, you have total revenue for each quantity and total cost for each quantity. You can find the profit, which is total revenue minus total cost, right? So let's do it, unit by unit. Total revenue, total cost. How much is 83.75 minus 48.30? 83.75 minus 48.30. How much is it, guys, with calculator?
3545.
35.45. Thank you. For quantity 6, total revenue is 9,600 minus 49.80.
46.
46.20. Can you please go down that? 10,675 minus 51.80. 54.95. Where are we
Is
now?
that 5780 for total cost?
Yes, 57.80.
5820.
58.20.
5895.
58.95.
And 5220.
52.20. Right? So now we have profit for every quantity. Take a look at that profit and tell me, at which quantity can you make the greatest profit? Quantity 9, right? It's bigger than any of those numbers, it's bigger than this number here. So it's your highest profit. That makes sense? There you go. All right, guys. So that's the whole idea of that exercise. Do you have any questions? Yes.
How do you find marginal cost again?
How do you find marginal cost, guys? Yeah, I'll get out of here. Take a snap a picture. Go ahead.
Isn't marginal cost
Yeah. How do you find marginal cost?
different between the two quantities?
Look, guys, just remember, I know this is not intuitive. You barely ever use the word marginal, right? But in economics, marginal means additional, right? In other words, marginal cost is the cost of producing additional machine. Marginal revenue is the cost of producing additional, not cost, but marginal revenue is the revenue from selling additionally. Very good.
So what I asked, show that the monopoly produces inefficiently.
Show that monopoly produces inefficiently. How do you show that monopoly produces inefficiently? First of all, when talking about perfect competition, we showed that in the long run, perfectly competitive firm converges to efficiency, right? What does, let's have it somewhere here on the side. What does the firm and the market look like in long run equilibrium under perfect competition. Perfect competition. So we have a firm here, marginal cost, average total cost, firm output, and market with the demand and supply. Let me make that look a little bit better so it's easier to work with. Right? Very good. So my question is, at what price will that firm be in a long-run equilibrium? Let's recall, what does it mean long-run equilibrium versus short-run equilibrium under perfect competition? Let's recall, when a firm is making positive economic profit, is the firm and the industry in long-run equilibrium? No, it's in a short-run equilibrium. Why?
Because.
What happens in the long run?
Oh, long run?
What happens if there's positive economic profit now?
someone's coming in.
Oh, someone's coming in, right? New firms are entering because positive economic profit attracts entry of new firms. On the other hand, if a typical firm makes negative economic profit, is that a long-run equilibrium or short-run?
Long run.
Negative economic profit.
Short run.
Short-run, because making negative economic profit means that in the long run, firms will exit, will flee the industry, right? Because positive, negative economic profit basically means this is better opportunity than anywhere else, or there are better opportunities someplace else, right? Positive economic profit means this is something everybody would like to do. Negative economic profit means, oh, I could do so much better someplace else, right? It's a shorthand for the same idea, basically. So, positive economic profit will result in entry of new firms, and those firms will gradually push the price down and compete away positive economic profit, right? Negative economic profit means that in the long run, firms will leave the industry pushing price up and raising economic profit to what? Where does all that entry and exit end?
Zero.
At zero economic profit, right? At zero economic profit, that means this industry provides just as good an opportunity as any other opportunity out there, okay? Meaning there is no incentive for firms in the industry to leave, there is no incentive for new industries to enter, that industry is in long-run equilibrium. That make sense? So the condition for the industry to be in a long-run equilibrium is that a firm is making zero economic profit. Well, at what price is the firm going to make zero economic profit?
Where it crosses.
At this price, correct? At this equilibrium price. That's the long-run equilibrium price. Because at that price, the firm, competitive firm, produces quantity Q star at which price equals marginal cost, right? Profit maximization condition under perfect competition. So this is the profit maximizing quantity. And of course, how much profit are you making? If you're selling every unit at the price it costs you to produce on average. Zero. So you're making zero economic profit. And of course, that price is the equilibrium price in the market with demand and supply. And this is the long-run equilibrium output. And that's it. That's what perfect competition looks like, right? In the long run. Perfect competition in the long run looks like this. And it is efficient. Again, what makes it efficient?
There's no market power.
What makes it efficient is that you're producing at the lowest possible average total cost, right? You're producing at the lowest possible average total cost. How do you know where average total cost is the lowest?
What's the bottom of
Well, yes. It's the point where marginal cost intersects average total cost, right? In other words, marginal cost and average total cost are equal to each other at the lowest point of average total cost. Very good. So, AC or ATC equals NC. at that point. Marginal cost equals average total cost at that. That makes sense? Let's see if the monopoly also produces monopoly output, 9 units, at the lowest point of average total cost, where marginal cost equals average total cost. Let's see, at quantity 9, what is the marginal cost? 700. What is average total cost? 720. Is marginal and average equal to each other at quantity 9? No, it's not. Is the monopoly producing at the lowest average total cost? No, it is not. So the monopoly is not producing efficiently. That makes sense? There you go. The questions on the midterm, the questions on the final, of course, are going to be very straightforward, very simple. You will have some numbers to crunch, basically just like here on the homework. It's going to be generally shorter. And then you're going to have graphs that you don't have to draw, you don't have to graph, they're provided for you, right? Sorry, marginal revenue. Marginal cost. Average total cost. Okay? That's the typical monopoly serving the whole market. Once again, it's a monopoly. It uses this profit maximization condition. Where's the profit maximizing quantity? Where marginal revenue equals marginal cost. This is marginal revenue, this is marginal cost. This is where they intersect. That's the monopoly output, right? What price does the monopoly charge? The highest price at which it can sell that quantity, right? That's the monopoly price. And finally, what's the monopoly profit? That's the monopoly profit, right? Positive economic profit of the monopoly. That's it, guys. See, does in general marginal cost equal average total cost for the monopoly? No. The monopoly, there's nothing pushing the monopoly to produce at the lowest average total cost, right? All right, guys. Any questions about this? Everybody comfy. So I tell you what, let's take 15-minute break. If you could